Let's begin today by lying on our backs with our knees bent and our arms extended out overhead. We're going to be here for a moment, so just begin to deepen your breath. Begin to find what feels good today for you, to get comfortable. To release the problems, the stresses of the day, and just be here. Notice the subtle rise of your belly as you breathe in, and the subtle coming in of the belly as you breathe out. And just be today. Be here. Feel the ground underneath you, holding you up. You've done a lot of hard work this week. If you did all the videos, then I just kind of want to bring us back to the first video, the foundational video, of just being reminded of our breath and our movement and how they connect, and that our body works together through this breath and movement, and that God designed our bodies this way. So just as a reminder, I'm going to read that same verse that I read at the beginning of this time together on the day one session that we had together. So it's 1 Corinthians, just as a reminder, it was 1 Corinthians 12 through 20. So as you lay here, just breathe and take in this verse. For just as the body is one and has many members, and all the members of the body, though many, are one body, so it is with Christ. For in one Spirit we were all baptized into one body, Jews or Greeks, slaves or free, and all were made to drink of one Spirit. For the body does not consist of one member, but of many. If the foot should say, because I am not a hand, I do not belong to the body, that would not make it any less a part of the body. And if the ear should say, because I am not an eye, I do not belong to the body, that would not make it any less a part of the body. If the whole body were an eye, where would be the sense of hearing? If the whole body were an ear, where would be the sense of smell? But as it is, God arranged the members in the body, each one of them as he chose. If all were a single member, where would the body be? As it is, there are many parts, yet one body. What is something about that verse that you may have not noticed before whenever I read it on that day one video? How has your perspective changed as you have moved throughout the week and noticed your breath and your movement intertwined? What is God just trying to show you today in this moment? How does God want to restore his image of you? So I invite you today to just take these thoughts throughout the practice as we continue to move on to the next pose. Continue with your breath and continue with what God is doing through you. So keeping your knees bent, we're going to just windshield wiper our legs side to side, dropping our knees down to the right side, and on your breath in, drop them down to the left side, and just continue this motion. A lot of times we'll stay just knees bent to one side and just breathe there, but we're going to move through this motion just because this is the beginning of the practice. We want to warm up our legs, open up our hips, but don't move separately from your breath. So really intertwine your movement and your breath as you do this motion. And go ahead and find some stillness. Bring your knees back to the center. Taking a breath in here. Now your next breath in, go ahead and send your knee into your chest. And then exhaling, send your knee up about a 90-degree angle. And then drop it back down to the floor, touching the mat. And then bring your knee back into your chest. And then sending it up to a 90-degree angle. And then dropping it back down to the mat. And just move through this motion, uniting your breath. This is a pose we haven't done before, but it's called a cycling pose. And it's like bicycles, but we're really uniting our core, bringing strength and lengthening our legs. And do this cycle for about 2 more breaths. Alright, and then go ahead and drop that leg back down to the mat, and then do the opposite side. So bringing your knee into your chest, lifting your leg up to a 90-degree angle, dropping it back down to the mat, and going through this motion multiple times, just breathing, strengthening, igniting. Strengthening the core can help alleviate back pain. And also helps to strengthen and stretch the muscles alongside the spine and the legs. So it's really awesome benefits. Two more breaths and then go ahead and drop your knees back down to the mat, keeping them bent. On your next breath out, go ahead and drop your knees back down to the right side, just like you were coming into a supine twist. On your next breath out, go ahead and place your left leg over that right thigh, drawing your foot, that bottom leg, that bottom foot into your pelvis, and get a nice stretch, opening up the hips. And just breathe here for 3 breaths. On your next breath in, draw your knees back into your chest, give yourself a hug, and then drop your knees down to the left side. Doing the same thing but on the opposite side. So bringing that right leg over that left thigh, feeling a nice stretch in the right side of your hip, opening your hips up. We'll be doing lots of hip work today, so I want to prepare the body to stretch and strengthen those hips. And then on your next breath in, draw your knees back into your chest. And then go ahead and find a seat, bringing your bottoms of your feet together, sitting up nice and tall, maybe grabbing or placing your hands on your feet. This is called bound angle pose. See if you can draw your heels in towards your pelvis. Noticing if you can send your knees closer down towards the mat and pull your spine up and look and send your gaze forward. Remembering to fill your belly with breath. Again, we're opening up our hips, preparing the body. Go ahead and cross your legs just like you would in just a seated pose, just a normal seat, however you take that. And then on your next breath in, reach your hands up overhead and then drop your right hand down to your left knee, bringing your back hand to the back of your mat and send your gaze behind your shoulder. Bringing a nice twist to your back. We'll stay here for 2 more breaths. And then inhale, reach your hands up overhead and do the same thing but on the opposite side. So bringing your left hand down to your right knee. Your back hand will go behind you and your gaze will be sent behind your right shoulder. Maybe on your next breath out, twist a little bit further. Not pushing, not tearing anything, but just with your breath, see if you can go a little further. Two more breaths here. All right, on your next breath out, go ahead and come to all fours. Bring your knees underneath your hips, your hands underneath your shoulders. I'm going to move into a cat-cow. So drop your belly, lift your crown of your head towards the sky. And exhale, round your spine, drawing your navel in. Move through this motion a few times, warming up the body. Moving within your breath. And then exhaling, peel your toes up and send your hips up and back for downward facing dog. Bringing your ears between your shoulders. Just breathing in here, maybe pedaling it out. And then on your next breath out, go ahead and walk your feet to the top of the mat, coming into a forward fold. Maybe grabbing your elbows and swaying side to side. Keep it a nice bend in your knees. And then inhaling, slowly rolling up to come into a mountain pose. Maybe shake out your legs here. Find some just intuitive movement. And then inhale, reach your hands up overhead. And exhaling forward all the way down, bringing your hands down to your mat. And then inhaling, halfway lift, bringing your hands to your thighs. And then exhaling, forward fold. And then as you breathe in, reach your hands up overhead, coming back into a mountain. As we begin to just warm up the body, we're going to move through this a couple more times, just the sun salutations, very simple. Go ahead and breathe in, reach your hands up overhead, and exhaling, coming back to a forward fold. Inhaling, halfway lifts. Exhaling, forward fold. Inhaling, reach your hands up overhead. And then exhaling, bring your hands down to your hearts. Noticing the ground beneath you. Being just reminded of your anchor, the things that we've learned this week that God has just shown you through this practice. Maybe it wasn't even, all this week that you watched the videos or you did the yoga, but just noticing maybe throughout your day some things that God was just making you more aware of. If something comes to mind, maybe just hold on to that and move through the practice today, just being reminded of those things that God is lighting up for you. So go ahead and step your left foot back, coming into a warrior two. So your back foot is going to be parallel with the side of your mat, the short edge of your mat. You're bringing that front leg really coming into a 90-degree angle, parallel with the mat. Your arms are nice and long. You're breathing in here. And then we're going to do something a little different. We're going to step our right toes. We're going to point those right toes to the long edge of the mat, coming into a wide-legged forward fold. So go ahead and release your head all the way down to the mat, keeping still, micro bend in those knees, and letting your head just hang here. Again, really igniting your quadriceps. And then go ahead and inhale, roll it all the way back up. And then point your toes out. So you're going to come and bring your feet out wide. And then going to bring your knees to a nice bend, coming to parallel with the mat. On our next breath in, just sink a little bit deeper. Maybe bring your hands to your hips, or maybe bring your hands up overhead. The goal here is to come parallel with the mat, but that's not always where everybody's at. So you really find what feels good for you, what something that's challenging for you. You want to push it today, that's awesome. If you just want to not be stressed out of any sort, then just, come in and out of it if you need. So go ahead on your next breath in, wherever you are, release your legs and come up to a standing. Still keeping your legs nice and wide. So we're going to do the same thing on your next breath out, but this time we're going to go ahead and wrap your right hand underneath your left, bringing your palms to touch. So coming into a goddess pose. Eagle goddess. So on your next breath out, go ahead and bend those knees and sink a little bit deeper maybe than you did before. Send your gaze past or between your hands, your palms. You got this. We're going to hold here for one more breath. And then release your legs, standing up nice and tall. Still keeping that nice bend in your arms. then we're going to go ahead and reverse your arms. So we're going to bring our left arm underneath our right, bringing our palms to touch. On your next breath out, go ahead and bend your knees again. Come into that goddess eagle pose. We're only going to stay here for 3 more breaths. Really breathe deeply into those legs. All right, awesome job. Go ahead and release your legs, sitting up nice and tall. Still keeping the wide leg. And still keeping your arms intertwined. As we pose, pointed towards the top of your mat, bend into that front leg, come into warrior one as a goddess, as eagle pose. On your next breath out, go ahead and step your back foot to meet your front. Keeping a nice bend in your legs, and keeping your feet together, coming into a chair pose. Really igniting up your glutes, the backs of your legs. I invite you just to focus on something in front of you. We'll hold here for about 2 more breaths. And then release everything down, unwrapping your arms, coming into a forward fold. Taking a breath in here. You worked super hard. Igniting your legs, opening up your hips. Getting uncomfortable. It's good to be uncomfortable sometimes. I think God calls us to get into those spaces where they may not feel good, but there's so much fruit on the other side. Go ahead and come back down to the mat. Come to a seated position. Send your legs out in front of you. Sit up nice and tall. Notice this line from the base of your spine all the way up to the crown of your head. And go ahead and bend your knees pretty generously. On your next breath out, go ahead and release your head down to your knees. Your forehead's touching your knees, and your hands may come to your feet. We did a lot of work on our hamstrings and our hips, and so I really would like to get a nice stretch. This is an awesome stretch for that, just after working those pretty hard. We'll stay here for 2 more breaths. Go ahead and come to lie on your back. Bend your knees and draw them into your chest. On your next breath out, go ahead and drop your knees down to the right side. Sending your arms out in a T position. Maybe sending your gaze to your left hand. And on your next breath in, maybe stretch or twist a little bit further. Getting a nice twist in the lower back. And then inhale, bring your legs back into your chest and dropping down to the left side. Sending your arms out long and your gaze to your right hand. Do you notice the difference on this side versus your other side? And then on your next breath in, go ahead and bring it back into your chest. Take a big breath in, and then release everything down to the mat. So you're in a full laying down position. We're going to just, this will be our last pose of the day, so I just encourage you to have a conversation with the Lord of what your body's telling you and what He says about you. Maybe connect those dots just in your head right now. As we close today, I encourage you to take one more big breath in as I read this one more verse for you as we end our practice today. Psalms 108:4, just a great reminder. For great is your love, higher than the heavens, your faithfulness reaches the skies. Amen.